And we'll pour that over. Turn that off. A lot of people would just use the hot oil over the scallions. There's also a trick used in a lot of Chinese cooking, like in Sichuan. We're going to add 3 other ingredients, which are common. A tablespoon and a half of ginger. This is fish sauce, a tablespoon and a half or soy sauce. And a little bit of sugar, which is a common addition to this style sauce. So you can't smell this, of course, at home, but I can. And as soon as that hot oil hits the scallions, you get that fresh, grassy aroma. It's just great. And when the ginger hits the hot oil, of course, that blossoms the ginger flavor, the fish sauce, the little bit of sugar. So we'll let this cool down. And we come back, we'll show you a bunch of ways you can use it, because it's really an all-purpose, very quick sauce. So the sauce is ready. Obviously, there are a lot of ways you can use this sauce. We have a grilled steak here. You can put it on any sort of grilled meats like chops. You can do it on grilled vegetables like asparagus or roasted vegetables. Very often it's served with dumplings. It's actually just served on rice. So it certainly is all-purpose, and it's so easy to make, you can do it at the last minute. That's better than Worcestershire sauce, I gotta tell you. You know, a great sauce has a lot of things going on in it. This has the ginger, it has the fish sauce, it has a little bit of sweetness to it. Obviously, it has the scallions, which give it a little bit of punch as well. So it's got a whole bunch of stuff going on. And, you know, steak's great, but steak with Vietnamese scallion sauce is a lot better. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday about authenticity in recipes, which is an interesting notion because there was Portuguese influence in India, Indian influence in Vietnam, Italian influence in Peru. Cultures come together and they make up new recipes and things change. So this is a great example of that. This is a curry from Vietnam based upon Indian influence in the 19th century, but of course, they had lemongrass and fish sauce and other ingredients, which made it uniquely theirs.
Yeah, all of the flavors are coming in right from the get-go, as opposed to an Indian curry where you layer in flavors by adding ingredients over time and controlling how much or how little. Here, we're putting everything in the marinade for our chicken, and then it's going to get flavored right from the start. The way that we're going to get this started is we're going to blend our marinade up, and that means breaking down our lemongrass. Now, here I have 3 stalks of lemongrass. Now, typically when you're working with this, you want to bruise it to get a lot of those oils going from the inside. However, because we're going to be thinly slicing this and then pureeing it in a blender, any oil that was on the inside of this lemongrass is definitely going to come out. So don't worry about smashing it to bits. In fact, all you want to do to start is trim it down to the lower 5 to 6 inches or so.
Now, is lemongrass in our supermarkets, it's sort of made of aluminum? I mean, this stuff is hard, isn't it? Like, if you're in Vietnam, it's going to be more tender, right?
Yes, it's certainly more tender, but when we get it imported here, this is what we have to work with. And, you know, we can get to the tender parts simply by peeling away some of those tougher outer leaves. So break a lot of those off, and don't be afraid to start wedging your thumbnail in there to start peeling off some of the tougher leaves.
And you're going to put it in a blender, so...
Exactly, so it's going to get obliterated. So as you can see, we're not dealing with any of the drier husks of this lemongrass. There's no bruising. We just have a nice, tender stem to work with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to thinly slice this. And like I said, that is going to help it break down into puree in the blender. But you want to slice it as thinly as you can so that way you can break down the fibers. You see, there are very, very tough fibers running vertically throughout this entire thing. So if you cut them into smaller pieces, they'll have an easier time breaking down in the blender. Alright, so now that I've thinly sliced through all of our lemongrass here, we can transfer it over to our blender. Now in here, along with the lemongrass, I have half a cup of water and a quarter cup of vegetable oil, or really any neutral oil will work here. We're adding in 1 medium onion that's been roughly chopped, also throwing in 1 3-inch piece of ginger that's been peeled and roughly chopped as well, 4 garlic cloves that have been peeled and smashed, and finally a variety of spices. 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of turmeric, and 2 tablespoons of coriander seed. Now that I have everything in here, we want to blend this until it is perfectly smooth, and I can't stress that enough. And just taking a look from the top, not a single fiber in sight. So that means we could go ahead and get this marinating our chicken. Here I have 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs that have been cut down into 1 to 1.5 inch pieces. And this marinade is going to go right on top. Okay. Once the marinade's in the bowl with the chicken, just give it a little toss to make sure all of the chicken pieces are coated. And then we could go ahead and pop this in the fridge to marinate for anywhere between 30 minutes to a full hour. Chris, our chicken has been marinating for 30 minutes, and it went straight from the bowl all the way into our large skillet here.
So just to clarify, this has nothing to do with the technique used in a traditional Indian curry. The combination of flavors, I guess you'd say, is curry-like, but it's not a traditional Indian curry.
It's curry-like, and it's very potent as well.
Okay.
So that's why the marinade's in the pan along with it,
That's
because
great.
not only is it flavoring the chicken, it's the sauce.
Right.
So we're going to add in 2 medium carrots that have been thinly sliced. We're also going to add in 5 cloves of star anise to bring out that kind of licorice-like flavor, and then we'll fish it out later on so no one has to break a tooth on it. We're going to go ahead and bring this whole combination up to a simmer. And once it starts simmering, we're going to let it cook down for about 6 to 7 minutes or so until the marinade itself starts to brown. And that way we could really develop some more of those deeper flavors and all those spices that are blended in. The marinade has actually reduced down quite a bit, and it's actually starting to brown, which is what we're looking for. You can see it forming that slight film on the bottom. We want to go ahead and kick that up into the sauce by deglazing the pan, one of my favorite ways to get all of the flavor. The way we're going to deglaze this is with a 1/3 cup of water, as well as 2 tablespoons fish sauce. We want to add it in towards the end, so that way it doesn't cook out all the way. But definitely work into the skillet, trying to scrape up any of those brown bits towards the bottom, because that is all locked in flavor. We need this to come up to a simmer, and then we'll pop a lid on it and allow it to cook for about 5 to 7 minutes until the carrots are crisp tender. After that, we'll pull off the lid and keep cooking it so the sauce thickens up and clings to the chicken. Okay. That sauce is nice and thick, and it's really clinging to the chicken pieces. So I'm going to finish it off with a little bit of brightness in the form of a 1/4 cup of lime juice. That's going to go right on in. Give that a stir and remove this entire skillet from heat. We don't want to cook down that lime juice and lose its acidity. But what we do want to lose are all of these hard pieces of star anise. So definitely fish those out once you add in your lime juice. And sometimes star anise will break down into tinier pieces. So really dig through and make sure you don't have any tiny cloves waiting around to surprise you in a spoonful. There's one.
Good thing you checked.
There we go. So now that we are all set with that, just going to give this one final stir. And while I'm doing this, if you wouldn't mind serving up some rice, you can go ahead and get started. This sauce is something incredible. Add in a little bit of this. And those carrots really bring such great, with a little bit of cilantro. That extra flavor really lifts this dish.
Well, you were right about the lime juice. That is really fresh. This is really good. I mean, it's totally different than a traditional Indian curry. Mm-hmm. But I think because it has lemongrass, it has big flavors, ginger, fish sauce.
It all starts right from the get-go, so this dish couldn't be simpler. And yet it still brings so much complex flavor to the game. You taste each and every spice that's in there.
So if you want an easy curry, you can make it in 30 minutes with all the big, bold flavors. It's a Vietnamese chicken curry. You can get this recipe, all the recipes from this season at Milk Street at milkstreettv.com. This is superb.
Thank you very much, Chris.
All episodes and recipes from this season of Milk Street Television are available for free at our website, milkstreettv.com. Please access our content, including our step-by-step recipe videos, from your smartphone, your tablet, or your computer.
The new Milk Street Cookbook is now available and includes every recipe from our TV show. From authentic lasagna bolognese and roasted cauliflower with tahini and lemon to Indian butter chicken. Your copy of the Milk Street Cookbook for $27, 40% less than the cover price. And receive a Milk Street tote with your order at no additional charge. Call 855-MILK-177 or order online. Funding for this series was provided by the